right, good evening to you and happy Wednesday. Thanks so much for joining us on UpNorthLive Unscripted at 6:30. Well, as Joe has been talking about all week, snow is coming down across pretty much all of northern Michigan in this latest system. So let's bring in Joe. How long will this last and how much more snow can we expect to see?
Yeah, well, it's going to last, I'd say, a good portion of the night tonight, Maya. You know, it's going to be one of those nights, and the roads are not that great around the region. I know MDOT, County Road Commission, certainly do their best to keep up, but it's a little bit of a wet, greasy type snow, which will hang on through tonight. We'll get a break tomorrow morning in some spots, and then we'll get a little lake effect coming in behind that. So we'll take a look at that. Of course, Valentine's Day is coming up Friday. If you have plans, we'll talk about that. And next week, President's Day is Monday. Going into next week, it looks chilly again. So if you're waiting for a warm-up, not quite yet. We'll take a look at all that coming up in a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Joe. Our top story tonight, as Joe mentioned, Friday is Valentine's Day. That is also will mark 7 years since the Parkland school shooting. And since then, one family who lost their child that day has been advocating for the use of mobile panic alert systems in schools. And now lawmakers in Michigan are proposing legislation to require all schools to have this. Our Allie Baxter talked with local law enforcement today to hear their perspective on this plan.
They're trying to get this in every school district in America.
Senator John DeMoose is talking about the Make Our Schools Safe nonprofit, led by the parents of a student killed in the Parkland shooting. Their mission is to get every state to pass a version of Alyssa's law requiring mobile panic alert systems in schools.
It begins communication between 911, the person who's reported the threat, school administrators, first responders, and it brings the whole team together immediately there.
Senate Bill 76 would require schools to add the systems, and Senate Bill 77 by DeMoose would amend the state school aid budget, so it's not an unfunded mandate.
It's just sort of a temporary number. We allocated $6.7 million because that's what it costs to implement in Florida.
DeMoose says the technology exists to do this, and lots of school districts across the country have already jumped on board. We found a couple different alert system apps like SchoolGuard and Rave Security. The proposed legislation doesn't say to use a specific system.
If it has the ability to provide real-time information that's specific and it's clear, it could be something that's really good.
Local law enforcement agencies and dispatches say without knowing what specific system is going in place, it's hard to say exactly how this will help, but they understand that time equals life in an emergency situation.
When a critical incident happens at a venue with a lot of people, cell phones don't always work efficiently. Calls can't get through because systems get overloaded. And I don't know enough about this system to comment specifically, but if that system allows clear communication without interruption, I would certainly support that if my family was in that school.
In northern Michigan, Allie Baxter, UpNorthLive News.
And Allie's joining us live now from our content center. So, Allie, this is a bill that was introduced in the Senate. Where does it stand at this point?
Yeah, Maya. So it was just introduced like a couple days ago. So it hasn't moved very far yet. So there is still time for a lot of different changes to be made. Like Senator DeMoose was saying, we've proposed taking $6.7 million because we know that's how much it took in Florida. But that could be changed just once we get down to the nitty gritty of things. If this does pass both of the chambers, and we would like to see, maybe there's some changes we need to make.
And would that money come from the state's budget then?
It would come from the state's budget, specifically under the school aid part. This wouldn't be something, because I know that was a concern today when I talked to Captain Brinks. He said, this is great, but if it's something, and it's like he said, if the schools want it as well, then that's also great. We'll help them implement it. But if it's something that someone has to foot the bill for, it's a little bit more difficult than to have these, maybe small rural schools that are required to mandate this kind of foot that extra bill. So the state has said in most of the states where they pass Alyssa's law do foot the bill for that software.
And as you mentioned in your story, a specific software system really hasn't been determined yet for what would be used here in Michigan if this does become a law. So can you kind of give us an overview of what this could look like depending on what system would be chosen?
Yeah, sure. And in some states, they do specifically say which system that they want people to use, just so that every school within the entire state is on the same page. So, like I said in my story, we had School Guard is one, Rave is another. I actually just went on the App Store. This is something I looked into earlier because I wanted to be able to put it in my story, but you do have to have like some kind of login once you do download the app. So I couldn't get to the screen I wanted to. And I don't know if you guys can see this. This is from the App Store. So it kind of looks like that. That is similar to what someone would see if they are using the app, and this is specifically School Guard that I was able to pull up really quickly. That is what they would see. And there's a prompt that says, do you want to call 911? Do you want to text 911? And that's something that when talking to law enforcement and talking to Senator DeMoose as well, is it's nice to have that flexibility that if there is, a certain active shooter situation or any kind of emergency, if a student or a teacher or staff member is in a situation where they can't comfortably call 911, then you can also chat with a dispatcher as well.
So this is a mobile app
Mhm.
that staff would have on their phone. So it's not an actual like physical button or anything. It's all on their phone.
Yes, it would all be on their phones, and then students would have access to it as well. And I saw specifically with some of the training videos for School Guard that they ask kind of a couple times. Like it's not super easy to kind of say, oh, oops, I like accidentally hit the button and triggered this like mass law enforcement response here. They ask several times and you have to slide across the screen. I believe I put that piece in my story. You have to slide across the screen to even confirm that, hey, this is an actual emergency and I need help.
So this kind of sounds similar to the current cell phone system, where I think you can just hold down the power button and the volume up button, and that will come up with a screen that says emergency. Yep. So emergency call, slide to call emergency services. What would be like the biggest difference between what's already on most of our iPhones versus this new system?
Yeah, so I would say what's different that I've seen across some of these applications is that because you're using the app and all the other people within the law enforcement dispatch network are already connected to it, I saw that some of these apps are able to pinpoint exactly where that person is within a building. Of course, when we go to schools that we're not always familiar with, we may not know where certain things are taking place in the building. So being able to pinpoint someone's location if they are sending updates like, hey, I think this person that has broken into the school just passed by the bathroom. That's where I am. It's able to help kind of filter that information. Whereas, because, I've had the same thought earlier, Maya, how is this? It almost seems like more steps to go into this app and press the button, what you need, where you can just kind of, as at least Apple has created, just simply call 911. But then it was explained to me that, hey, maybe there are situations where you can't do that. And as Captain Brinks touched on as well, a lot of times our phones don't work super well in situations where all of a sudden you may have an influx of calls. Say there is a horrible situation that has happened at a school and you have multiple staff members, teachers, students calling 911. He said the worst thing would be just one person in that entire school calling 911 and being the only person relaying any information. He's like, we genuinely do need the different calls coming in from the school, but we also need a way to filter all that out and get a clear communication channel with people.
Sure. Were you able to talk to any schools about their thoughts on this?
I wasn't able to talk to any schools about this just because they had kind of said the same thing that law enforcement and dispatch had said, just, hey, we are kind of aware of what this is. And without knowing exactly what system it is, there are quite a few different options out there. Without knowing what system it is, they couldn't speak to exactly how it would benefit them. But they said and emphasized, just like law enforcement and dispatch did, that they are willing to look into anything that could make communication and response time better in a situation like that. Like they explained, they know that time equals life. They know that saving time in that situation equals saving more lives.
So this could just be another tool in the toolbox for
Exactly.
staff at schools to keep everyone safe.
Yep, and that's something they always love to say as well, Maya. They say, this is just another tool in our toolbox. This is another safety resource, and we will never turn away another thing that could help in a situation like this.
And you mentioned that this still has a long way to go until it actually becomes law, if it does actually become law. Do you know, is there a goal? Did Senator DeMoose say that, hopefully by next school year, this will be up and running across Michigan?
He didn't mention a specific timeline goal. Of course, we know sometimes things work a little bit slowly when things are moving through our legislative system. Right now, I can tell you that 6 out of the many states across the United States have implemented this so far. So, and there have been numerous other states as well that have at least introduced it into their different houses as well. So we could see it move quickly depending on if there is some bipartisan support here. But I imagine just with that dollar sign on it, it's going to be maybe a little bit of back and forth just to get all the details out.
Sure. Anything else that you want to mention, Allie, that we haven't discussed yet?
Yeah, I guess I would just emphasize again that everybody is on board with always adding an extra layer of communication here in response. They just obviously want more details about, hey, which system do we need to go with? And some states do require a certain system. Here in Michigan, thus far, it seems it would be up to the schools to say, hey, this is what we have already and it's working for us.
Well, Allie, thank you so much for joining us and for digging a little deeper into your story. And as Allie mentioned, this bill still has a long way to go until it could potentially become law. I'm sure we will continue to follow this and keep you updated on any changes. So turning over to a special report. So some Northern Michigan retirees are being forced to kind of change their plans. And our very own Brendan Kinney, he explains why some of them are going back to work and the help for seniors who are retiring.
From the front desk at the Manistee County Council on Aging.
Hi, how you doing?
To the activity center.
I enjoy this.
And everywhere in between.
That's our blessing box. We put food in there.
Alice Clark makes sure everything is running smoothly and everyone has a smile on their face.
It's just a super place to work.
Alice has been employed here for the past 3 months. She works 14 hours a week.
I needed more money because I only get Social Security. That don't go very far. My rent went up $48. The cable went up $25. But my Social Security stayed right where it was. So in order to live, I might say, instead of just paying bills and nothing else, I had to have another job.
Alice is back in the workforce after retiring from her job as a secretary. In terms of seniors and retiring, she's not alone. A recent study by Caring.com shows nearly 33% of seniors surveyed are currently working. Almost 1/3 of these working seniors are unretired, primarily due to inflation.
Even at my age, I'm working, and I don't mind it. But it's just, you should think that at your age, you could just take life easy. But with the cost of food and everything, you can't.
Sarah Howard is the executive director of the Manistee County Council on Aging. She's seeing people struggling with day-to-day living.
I think things have got to get better for the American people. It's not a political thing. It is a human thing, and we really have to start looking at how do people survive. It's not good, and it's not helping anybody that I know. So I think everybody working together tends to help.
There are resources for seniors who need some extra assistance in places here like Manistee County. And here at Northwest Michigan Works in Traverse City, staff here can help those who are looking to re-enter the workforce.
Our agency is very well positioned to help people with change, including returning to the job market. Some people may want to get a job in a field that they've already had. Some may want to do a career change, and we're able to help people figure out what that career change could be.
That could be through self-assessments, job assessments, sharing local labor market information, and helping people identify jobs that are a good fit for their skill set. Alice says she thanks Sarah every day for giving her this job and helping her out.
Now, with this, I can go out for a fish fry once in a while, and that helps. It does you good for inside, and it helps you just expand a little bit, and you're not so uptight.
Reporting for UpNorthLive News, I'm Brendan Kinney.
And to learn more about the services offered at the Manistee County Council on Aging and Northwest Michigan Works, head to our website, UpNorthLive.com. Well, let's turn things over to our question of the day related to Brendan's story. When do you plan on retiring? Scan the QR code on your screen right now to vote on our website. As of right now, so we have a few different options. We have never, 65 to 70, over 70 or 62 to 65. As of right now, majority of voters are saying 62 to 65. But I'll continue to keep an eye on those live results and take a look at some of your comments on our Facebook page as well. And we'll circle back to this conversation toward the end of the show. But let's take a quick commercial break. Chief Meteorologist Joe Charlevoix will have much more on the current storm system and a look ahead to our next one coming up next.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
Well, the snow is still falling across northern Michigan, and if you're hoping to get maybe a break from the snow tomorrow, Joe says some of us will be seeing a different system, this time lake effect snow.
Yeah, that's right. So we're dealing with a system coming through, and then that'll slide out of here late tonight, Maya. And then tomorrow we'll have some lake effects, so kind of the backwash behind that.
The double whammy.
That's right. But then Friday we get a break on Valentine's Day. So there you go. This is a look over Old Mission Peninsula earlier today, looking down at the snow on the ground, kind of soaring over the trees there in Grand Traverse County. And then you'll see Grand Traverse Bay out there in the distance. Beautiful scene there. Of course, we always see northern Michigan in the summer. The aerial views beautiful, but looks pretty nice in winter too. Look earlier today. Let's take a look at a live look now around parts of northern Michigan. There's the Mackinac Bridge, Petoskey, Gaylord, also Traverse City. All 4 spots having snow coming down, or there is snow coming down this evening. We have a number of counties under winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories. So the more significant is the pink areas. That's winter storm warnings, and that's from Alpena south. So Aranac, Alcona counties, West Branch, Ogama County, into Gladwin County. We have a winter storm warning through tomorrow morning because we're going to get the system, but with an east wind, you know, a lot of times our wind is out of the west, so we get lake effects off Lake Michigan, but tonight it's the opposite. out of the east. So that'll set up a bit of lake effect snow off Lake Huron. And then the rest of the region, for the most part, except up in the far north, is under a winter weather advisory, all the purple shaded areas and counties through tomorrow morning with potential for 3 to 5 inches of snow. Here's what the setup looks like tonight. You can see the weather map tonight. Now you get way down by Tennessee. That's where our area of low pressure is. This will slide up toward Cleveland, but you see the snow on the north side of this. It's snowing from near Indianapolis, St. Louis, all the way up into northern Michigan tonight. So here's a little closer look at radar. We'll start south. Yeah, where you see those darker shades of purple, that's where the heavier snow is right now. Grayling, Mayo, the Houghton Lake, Roscommon region, Cadillac, Reed City, south of Ludington, some pretty steady snow extending up toward the Mackinac Bridge. And then in the eastern UP, it's snowing here a little bit too, but not quite as much. You know, Newberry, it's taken a while to get some of that snow going up that way. Here's what we're looking at with regard to the longer range forecast. And the snow winds down late. There's tomorrow morning. And then some lake effect snow tomorrow afternoon and evening right there. So you can kind of see that. And then that'll kind of taper off tomorrow night. And then there's a little break on Friday. I'm going to ask our producer, Shay, how much time do I have left? Because I don't know if I can hear. Oh, yeah, I can't hear her. So glad I asked. All right, good. Quick look at the snow totals. I think the battery or something died in my earpiece here. There's through tomorrow morning, 3 to 5 inches of snow. And then we add the lake effect snow on top of that. But much of northern Michigan looking at 4 to 6 inches of accumulation. And there is the masterpiece, the extended forecast. Quiet Friday. Another system does come in over the weekend. Could see some snow showers Saturday and also on Sunday. I'll get this thing
figured out.
Here.
But we got home. You did it. Good job, Joe. Let's take another quick break. We'll check in with sports director Harrison Beebe in just a few minutes. And for a look at the top sports stories today, let's turn things over to our sports director, Harrison Beebe. Harrison, take it away.
Hey, Maya, yeah, a lot going on in the sports world. Ski regionals were just the other day. Wrestling regionals taking place tonight. We know hockey regionals is going to begin next week, and the basketball districts will begin the week after that. So we are slowly winding down that winter sports season here in the state of Michigan. We focused on the hockey tonight, though. The Big North Conference has some dominoes that still need to be determined and tipped over here in the final few games of the regular season. TC Central and TC West are playing right now at Howe Arena. The way the BNC standings look, West, Alpena, and Petoskey all have 2 losses apiece entering these final few games of the season. West and Central both have 2 to play. Petoskey and Alpena are just waiting for Friday, where Alpena is going to host the Titans and Petoskey is going to host the Trojans. Speaking of hockey, let's talk about the Four Nations Face-Off, the big tournament that's set to take place here starting tonight in Montreal and then later in Boston. We're going to have the United States, Sweden, Finland, and of course Canada taking part in this unique event that the NHL is trying. Instead of the All-Star break, they're going to do this Four Nations face-off where almost every team in the NHL has a player represented. The Red Wings are sending 2 players to this event. Dylan Larkin is going to be on Team USA. Lucas Raymond is going to be on Team Sweden. And starting tomorrow night for the United States, they're going to play these round-robin games. And then next Thursday will be the championship game with the 2 best teams. So a cool way to have some country bragging rights and 4 elite nations for hockey going at it. Before we go, let's wrap up the Big Ten basketball standings. A lot of shakeup, and that happened last night. The Michigan Wolverines now in the lead in the conference after their close win at home over Purdue. The Wolverines now ahead of Purdue, and in third now, Michigan State after the Spartans lost to Indiana. That's now 3 of their last 4 in the loss column for MSU. What will happen down the stretch? Well, MSU's schedule doesn't get any easier. Michigan's actually isn't too bad down the stretch, although both the Wolverines and Spartans will play twice here in the final 3 weeks of the regular season. So something may happen there, but right now, the Michigan Wolverines in the driver's seat to win the Big Ten title. That's going to do it for your unscripted sports. Back to you, Maya.
And Harrison and my fellow Spartan fans weren't very happy with last night's loss to my Indiana Hoosiers. I was pretty happy, though, of course. All right, let's take one more quick break. We'll come back with the live results for Question of the Day. Stay with us.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
When do you plan on retiring? 49% of our voters say between the ages of 62 and 65. 25% say 65 to 70. 9% over 70, and 17% say never. Brent on Facebook says he retired 10 years ago at the age of 55. Beth says so much is happening right now, not as soon as I'd hoped. Husband says the same. Go ahead to our Facebook page to join in on the conversation, because that's all the time we have right now for Unscripted. But thanks so much for joining us. Take care, everyone.